Episode 7: The Art of Apple Crisp. The afternoon sunlight poured through the kitchen window, bathing the wooden countertops in a soft golden glow. Outside, the October breeze rustled through the trees, sending a cascade of leaves swirling through the air. It was the perfect day to be inside, Ella thought, surrounded by the warmth of her cottage and the promise of something sweet filling the air. Ella had been craving the comfort of baking all week. There was something about this time of year that made her want to slow down, to immerse herself in the rituals of the season. Today, she decided, would be the day to make her favorite fall treat, apple crisp. The thought of warm apples, cinnamon, and buttery crumble baking in the oven filled her with a quiet excitement. It was a recipe she had perfected over the years, and every time she made it, it felt like a little celebration of autumn. She gathered her ingredients slowly, relishing the process. The apples were the star of the dish, fresh from the market, each one a perfect blend of red and green, their skin slightly cool to the touch. She set them in a neat row on the countertop, the wooden surface still carrying the faint scent of cinnamon from her morning coffee. The air outside was brisk, but inside everything felt warm, cozy, and inviting. Ella reached for her favorite knife, its handle smooth from years of use, and began peeling the apples one by one. The skin came away in long curling strips, falling into a pile on the counter. Each apple revealed its pale, creamy flesh, and the scent of fresh fruit filled the air, a crisp, sweet fragrance that reminded her of childhood autumns. The rhythmic motion of peeling, slicing, and coring the apples was calming, almost meditative, as if time itself had slowed down just for this moment. Ella imagined how the apples would soften and caramelize in the oven, their juices bubbling up around the edges of the golden buttery topping. She sliced them into thin wedges, arranging them in a large ceramic baking dish. The dish was an old one, its edges slightly chipped from years of love, but it held a certain charm, the kind of piece that had witnessed countless family meals and quiet moments like this one. Next came the spices. Ella reached for the jar of cinnamon first, its rich, earthy scent instantly filling the kitchen as she sprinkled it generously over the apples. Nutmeg followed, a pinch of its warmth, slightly peppery flavor, and then a dash of ground cloves, just enough to add a hint of mystery to the dish. She tossed the apples gently, letting the spices coat each slice, the colors of fall coming together in a fragrant symphony. She turned her attention to the crumble, a simple rustic topping that made the apple crisp so irresistible. In a large bowl, she combined flour, brown sugar, oats, and the ingredients blending together into a soft golden mixture. She added a pinch of salt, knowing it would heighten the sweetness of the apples and balance the richness of the butter. Ella smiled as she unwrapped a stick of butter, its coolness firm against her fingers. She cut it into small cubes, then worked it into the dry ingredients with her hands, the warmth of her palm slowly softening the butter. There was something deeply satisfying about this part of the process, the way the crumble formed beneath her fingers, the buttery richness melting into the sugar and oats, creating a texture that was both crumbly and just a little bit sticky. When the topping was ready, Ella carefully sprinkled it over the apples, making sure each piece was evenly covered. The contrast between the soft spiced apples and the golden buttery topping was one of her favorite things about this dish. She stood back for a moment, admiring the way the ingredients had come together, simple but perfect in their own way. The oven was already warm, its heat spreading through the kitchen and adding the cozy atmosphere. Ella slid the dish into the middle of the rack, feeling a sense of contentment as she closed the oven door. Now all that was left to do was wait. As the apple crisp baked, the cottage began to fill with the most wonderful aroma, the sweet, spicy scent of cinnamon and apples mingling with the rich, nutty fragrance of butter and brown sugar. Ella leaned against the counter, her eyes drifting to the window where the golden afternoon light had begun to fade into the softness of hues of twilight. Outside, the leaves continued to fall, swirling gently in the breeze. But inside, the warmth of the oven and the promise of something delicious made everything feel just right. While the crisp baked, Ella tidied up the kitchen, humming softly to herself. She wiped down the counters, her movements slow and deliberate, enjoying the quiet ritual of preparing for the evening ahead. She placed a small vase of dried flowers on the kitchen table, rusty orange and deep burgundy petals that matched the colors of the season perfectly. After about 45 minutes, the apple crisp was ready. Ella opened the oven door and a cloud of fragrant steam rose into the air. The topping was golden and crisp, the apples bubbling up and around the edges in little pools of caramelized sweetness. She placed the dish on the counter to cool, the warm scent filling the kitchen even more deeply now. Ella scooped a generous portion of the crisp into a small bowl, the spoon sinking easily into the soft apples and crunchy topping. The first bite was pure heaven, sweet, tart, buttery, with the perfect hint of spice. She took her time savoring each mouthful, feeling the warmth spread through her as she ate. Outside, the sky had deepened into a soft lavender, the last light of the day slipping away behind the trees. Ella sat by the window with her bowl of apple crisp, wrapped in the comfort of the moment. It was in these simple pleasures, cooking, the scent of cinnamon and apples, the soft glow of the kitchen, that she found the deepest joy. As she finished the last bite, Ella smiled to herself. October had always been her favorite month, and days like this, filled with warmth, with the simple art of creating something beautiful, reminded her why. Life, she thought, was a little sweeter when you took the time to savor it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more short stories with Ava Z. Bienvi.